So this lecture, we're going to be focusing on the actual functions of the blood, okay? So the blood has three specific functions, okay? So the first is distribution. Okay? Distribution. All right, so when you think about the blood, what does it do? The main function here is, number one, it transports nutrients and oxygen to the body cells. Okay? All of these gases, nutrients, vitamins, sugars, carbohydrates, fats, they're all transferred into the body cells. Second function of distribution, okay, it removes waste. Okay, so it transfers metabolic waste, for example, carbon dioxide or ammonias, okay, our metabolic waste, to specifically the lungs and kidneys for elimination. Okay, so, and the third final function is, again, it sort of overlaps with number one, is that it transfers hormones from the endocrine organs to the target organs. Okay? So now we talked about distribution. Next is regulation. Okay? Regulation involves three more parameters. Okay? So here, first we look at temperature. Okay? The average body temperature is about 37.5 degrees Celsius. Okay? So here, the maintenance of the body temperature is where it's reabsorbed or released is regulated by the blood. Okay? The second thing is pH regulation. Okay? So the pH regulation goes from around 7.25 to about 7.35. Okay? Any kind of change, any kind of fluctuation, you have a homeostatic imbalance in the pH. The body has its own this alkaline and acidic reserves. So, for example, in this example, we can talk about bicarbonate. Bicarbonate is a base. Alkaline. Okay, so this is HCO3 minus. Okay, and then the third final thing that we're actually going to be focusing on here is regulation of blood volume. Okay, so why is this important? Well, the blood's volume is important for its ability to, for example, transfer all the oxygen and nutrients to the body cells, transfer the waste back to the lungs and kidneys for elimination. Okay, so blood volume, for example, if you have instances of hemorrhage, so another way of saying internal bleeding, blood volume plays a big role by the blood, because if you can't regulate the proper blood volume, this can lead to a lot of instances of hypovolemic shock, which we'll talk about later. Okay, and then the final thing that we're going to talk about is protection. Okay, so protection, number one, prevention of bleeding, of blood loss. Okay, so prevention of blood loss. So there's specialized cells and proteins that are involved in your body that prevents any kind of internal bleeding. For example, this is the reason why we have these special cells. The cells that are involved are these cells, fragments called platelets. Okay, and they involve also interaction with these proteins called fibrins and fibrinogens. And the last thing of protection is prevention of infection. Right, so we have our blood cells, for example, our white blood cells, our complement system, complement proteins, and also antibodies. So these three specific categories all are coining the actual function of the blood. Okay, so you have distribution, regulation, and protection. Okay?